Well, guys,
No
in
doubt.
Steeltown, we talked about this yesterday, probably being the most important game of the night. The
Ooh.
Penguins lost another heartbreaker in OT to the Islanders. They're sitting 8 points out of that second wild card spot. And we were maybe predicting that this could be coming up in terms of, in the news cycle. Inside the Penguins tweeted out, according to an insider, the Penguins are ready for a fire sale. And Kyle Dubas is listening to options for just about everyone on the roster. The Pens president of hockey ops spoke earlier.
Yeah, I didn't see the exact verbiage or wording of it. I had another GM mention it to me today or ask me about it clearly. I think we've received a lot of calls on a lot of our players, especially as our team has been in the spot that it's at. My view of it, Rob, has been to, I feel like out of respect to the group here and what they've accomplished, I'm trying to be as patient as possible and give the group the time, and I've outlined that to them to show that we can really make a push and make a run at it. As we've continued to kind of stay level or drop, we look up today at the standings, it's a daunting task. Is the group capable of it? Yes, I think we've shown this year that we are, but we're running out of time to show that we can do it consistently. So as we've had, coming out of the All-Star break, we lose 2 or 3. Last week is the same, we lose 2 or 3. The calls from teams that are these are really good players here. So teams are calling more and more, asking, are they going to be available? So, that's my job to listen to it. But I haven't, there's been no discussion about these guys are and these guys aren't available. A lot of teams are just calling and asking about a litany of our players.
Listen, there are a lot of insiders in the show here covering the NHL. To his credit, Dubas did a great job of speaking for a long time, not necessarily answering the question. He didn't say no, Rupper. He didn't say yes, Weeksy. But, Rupper, you're around this team on a regular basis covering them. What's your take on this entire thing? And
yeah,
that was Pierre LeBrun who also tweeted some of this out.
Yeah, listen, they're not dead yet on this season. They are 8 points back on Detroit, and they've got 2 games in hand. It's getting a little more bleak as each day goes by and they leave points on the table. And last night was huge. They did battle back and show some heart in that game to get the 1 point against the Islanders. But the problem is one of the teams that's in your way is the team that got the other point, right? The Islanders. And there's teams ahead of Pittsburgh. So, all of these things of what the trade deadline is, where the direction and the future of this team is, all those things are in question, but you're in the middle of trying to make the playoffs right now, too. So I don't think they're dead right now. But at the same rate, Weeksy, I'll leave this to you, is like they've got some good players, like Kyle Dubas said, that probably would create quite a buzz on the market. So what do you do here? And you look at, some of these names on the board, and there's some that kind of jump out to me too. And I'm not trying to say these things have happened or I'm hearing whatever. I haven't heard anything. I'm just saying, when you're talking about value, right now, goaltenders and center icemen on the open market are what teams are looking for. You've got one of the best goaltending duos in the National Hockey League this year. So is it Nedeljkovic? Yeah. Is it? There's some. You can create some buzz there. You've got Riley Smith, who I think just coming off that cup and what he's done in his career would create quite a bit of buzz. You've got players there, but then it all goes back to you're still trying to make the playoffs now. It's just like this vicious cycle here that he's got to navigate through. And it kind of seems like a mess. Right now, all you can do as a player is like, let's just get points. And they haven't been doing a good job of that.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting, right? What a dichotomy, because they had the history. You've had all that success. You have the cups, and you have one of the best players in NHL history in the great Sidney Crosby. And at the same time, all of that kind of predates this season. But on the back end of this season, it's been a little bit disappointing, and they're chasing it, to your point, Rupper. So now you add those elements to the fact that, hey, Kyle Dubas was somebody that they pursued, that they were really, really keen on, that they were hungry for, they were salivating for it. They bring him there. They feel he has all that acumen. So this is now up to him in concert with the ownership group to kind of navigate this phase of where they are right now. And this is where Kyle Dubas is going to make his name. There's an opportunity for him to showcase a lot of what they saw and see in him as their president of hockey operations. So I'm curious to see what it looks like.
So coming in for this show, I was listening to the presser with Kyle Dubas, and totally paraphrasing here. If you want to listen to it on your own, you can go to the Penguins X handle or their website, and you can find it. But basically, Kyle Dubas was saying, they don't look to be buyers. Like, they're not going to be buyers come March 8th because they're not willing to give up the future assets. Like, they've got to start replenishing some of that here. And basically, if it's a hockey trade, 1-for-1, a player out, player in that could be in that lineup. They want to get younger, but they also want to, with this core group, get younger and have those guys kind of groom that next wave. Because there is going to be a day when those Hall of Famers are not there any longer. And I think that that's where there's some attention, but also during that same amount of time, we want to contend and have that window that we can compete right now and contend.
It's a tough balance to strike.
It's a very difficult, balancing act, but that seems to be what they're doing right here. And I think it'll be very, very intriguing to see which players are available, if any, move out come deadline time.
LA Kings have done it. So that's exactly what the LA Kings have done, where you had Jonathan Quick up until last year. You still have, obviously, the great Anze Kopitar, the great Drew Doughty, and then you can bring in and infuse. Initially, it was Kempe and a lot of those younger players. Now it's Quinton Byfield and some of the other younger players, like Brandt Clark and some others. So maybe they're kind of a little further along in terms of what Pittsburgh is attempting to do to that point. But I'd be curious to see. Again, this is a very critical time, a critical juncture in the history of Pittsburgh's franchise and their prestige and all the success that they've had in terms of how this trade deadline gets navigated for them. And that's exactly why they're fielding so many incoming calls.
And I love what you said about trying to avoid the fire sale, because you need those older, more experienced guys around to mentor the future of the team and know how to play the game right and how to perform under pressure.
That's a big part of it. That's what happened on the other end of it with Columbus, for example. With Anaheim, for example. They need some of those veteran players in the group that can help.
Yeah.
That can help some of their bright young prospects and really good young players navigate the NHL and become NHL players.